right, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential, companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point and with multiple catalysts in place. And today we are back with next super stock, Wellgistics, WGRX on NASDAQ, and we have with us Tony Madsen, the Chief Operating Officer. Tony, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
So Tony, first of all, where are you right now?
So I am in Lakeland, Florida at our distribution facility. So we have a 50-state NABP certified distribution facility in Lakeland, Florida. And we also have that's around 40,000 square feet. I'll be walking around that today. And then we also literally just transferred our pharmacy over last week. So we just moved there, and I'll go show you the new spiffs over there too.
Okay, we're going to get at that. So what's exciting about Wellgistics is this is a company inside the $600 billion pharma distribution business. I mean, which is it's a massive market. Some saying it's $1 trillion market, but again, the healthcare market in the U.S., the pharma distribution business, huge market, and we've seen companies explode. I mean, we had Brian on, was it a few weeks ago? He was talking about how, in this space, it's possible to go from almost zero to like $1 billion in sales in 12 to 18 months, and Wellgistics is positioned to do exactly that. You're doing about $40 million revenues run rate right now, annualized $40 million. And from what I understand, you're about to scale to $250 million run rate and much beyond that. But first of all, just for people in the audience so they can understand, can you explain, what exactly does Wellgistics do, like in a nutshell? What's the business model?
Oh, 100%. Easiest way to define it is saying we take a drug from a manufacturer direct to patient. That's the cleanest, quickest way of understanding what we do. Instead of having all these middlemen that make a ton of money and don't really benefit anyone but themselves, we make more money for the manufacturer, we make more money for the pharmacy, we make more money and we save more money for the patient. So everyone ends up in a better situation minus the middlemen.
So basically, so essentially, Wellgistics is part of like all the tailwinds are behind you right now in terms of like this is the big trend right now with like the Trump administration, everybody in health, they want to reduce costs for patients.
When you're talking about most favored nations and everything else, Wellgistics is uniquely positioned, unlike anyone else in the space that I am aware of, to be able to help a manufacturer actually accomplish that. Every manufacturer in the pharmaceutical space has been scrambling to find alternative distribution, and that's what we are. The legacy way of going to a PBM and going to a primary distributor, everyone's fed up with it. Everyone needs a new route. Wellgistics is the new rails that healthcare can run on for people to actually get their medications at a severely reduced price.
So bottom line is one of your competitive advantages is cost savings. That's one of the big things, right? That's one of the value
100%.
drivers that you offer.
Well, and that everyone besides the PBM and the one of the big three wholesalers, they make more money. Manufacturers make more money, wholesalers make more money, pharmacies might make more money, and patients still spend less. It's insane. So yeah, it's not only a cost savings, but it's a value add to the people in the supply chain.
Okay, so Tony, I want to get like we're in the warehouse. This is where all the distribution happens, and
correct.
Can you give us tell us like what's most shelves behind you? I just want people to understand.
100%.
Like,
all of these are pharmaceutical. So we sell pharmaceutical grade drugs. We sell everything from what is called an OTC or over the counter drug, all the way up to scheduled drugs. And I'll show you our safe in the other room that contains our scheduled drugs. But all of this is RX grade drugs. So we have about a 40,000 square foot facility. We were getting at capacity very quickly, so we've recently put in some additional shelving. Had to move some stuff around and get that done. So this is all. I mean, this is your clobetasol creams, your chlorzoxazones, your ketoprofens. I mean, all regular stuff that people take every single day. So we have back here is where we just put some new shelving in. I'll walk around a little bit so you guys can get some context of where we're at. These are all, again, more pharmaceutical products, and we do everything. I mean, Right now we have roughly 500 SKUs that are in stock at any given moment, but we have over a 12,000 SKU catalog. So you can see all the new shelving that we put in. We just got into this this additional space, last year. We've been putting the shelving up. I'll walk over here. This is my favorite part because it took almost 18 months to complete. We have a phenomenal fridge for cold chain, which allows us to be hyper competitive with other alternative distribution routes. Most people would never have a fridge this size in the pharmaceutical space. And let me get into why. This is our fridge. Okay. So it's absolutely massive, but pharmaceutical drugs are completely different than anything else. This isn't a thing that you store meat in and vegetables, right? This thing only has a 3 to 5 degree temperature variance in it at any time. So this is not your regular fridge, right? So
okay. Can we see inside? Can you take us inside?
Yep, pardon the mess. We've been going like crazy. We actually just sent out like 15 pallets.
Oh, we're losing. We're losing the connect. Oh, it's
yeah.
This Wi-Fi does okay.
The internet's not great in there. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the inside of the fridge.
Okay.
But that's where we keep all of our cold chain products.
Okay.
So, but it took it. I mean, the back order on these things, literally, it takes 18 months to 2 years just to get a fridge set up in the space. So.
Okay, interesting. So, but when you say cold chain products, like what are we talking about? Like what kind of drugs are these?
So that's going to be like anything that is required that is temperature sensitive. Okay, so you talk about like GLP-1 or there's lots of different ones. They have stuff for like what's the injectable? When you're having an allergic reaction, like EpiPens have to be cold chain. So anything that has to be refrigerated and kept at a certain temperature, it has to be at rest when it's in a fridge and in transport. So when we transport this stuff, we have a very specific SOP that requires us, or standard operating procedure, that requires us to pack them a certain way, ship them a certain way, because we have to guarantee that 3 to 5 degree variance the entire life of the drug. Because what happens in some of these drugs, the reason that they're temperature sensitive is because if they get beyond that 5 degree mark, they will actually go bad. They will have a reaction. They will heat up if they get too warm or too cold, and they will contaminate the product, so you can't use them. So pharmaceutical supply chain is way different than anything else. If beef gets has a 20 degree variance, we got a 3 to 5.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. Okay, so basically, this warehouse, you've been here about like what? I think a year, you said, or is it 18 months? Roughly 18 months.
So
in this spot?
No, so we expanded into this entire section of the building for about 18 months ago. We originally started, and this is now just our pick, pack, and ship over here. So this is where we just pick, pack, and ship all of our meds. So this side of the warehouse we've been in for about 8 years, but I'll show you that everybody's at lunch right now. But let me show you where pick, pack, and ship happens. So this is the actual line that everyone works on.
Okay. Oh,
so
this is a big space. Okay.
Oh yes, yeah. We have 40,000 square feet. So it's it's built for scale, and we have all the infrastructure for it. These are all the actual workstations that everyone actually prints the shipping labels, slaps them on. We have a phenomenal ERP system that we use that's great for, it does all of our compliance and serialization stuff, which again, I can bore you to death compliance wise, but we have to track every single medication that I just showed you guys, everything in this building. I have to track where I got it, the individual bottle, to where I sent it. And I have to do that every single bottle for every shipment. So it is a massive undertaking, but now that we're with the right technology partners, and then our internal tech stacks that we've integrated, we've been able to reduce or improve efficiencies and reduce hourage for the employees by, you wouldn't even believe it. I mean, we're doing twice as much stuff as we used to do with half the employees because of the efficiencies we've created in the last 2 years. So
okay, so in this space, so basically, out of all what we're seeing now, these shelves, these are products basically you're selling the equivalent of, if you're a 40 million run rate, basically 3 million, $3 to $4 million a month in sales coming from those shelves, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the idea is this. So one of the things that Brian, the CEO was talking about was the idea of Wellgistics scaling, going from the current run rate to 250 million revenues in the next 12 months, which I think that is for investors, like that's the big, that's the exciting part. Like if a company can scale, which is this with this massive number, that could make the stock basically a 10x, which is what we're looking for. We're looking for stocks which have that 10x upside, and if you go from 40 to 250, it'll be a $15 stock, basically. I think, again, not a guarantee. But
yeah. I tell people all the time, pharmaceuticals is different than any other space that you played in. I know multiple people in the space that on one NDC go from 0 to $250 million in top line in 6 months. It's a very different industry. It doesn't require the volume. It doesn't require the just grind to get to the $250-500 million mark like it does in other spaces. It just doesn't. The supply chain is so desperate. Everyone's trying to make adjustments. Everyone's trying to do better. It's very low hanging fruit. So we're really excited about the positioning. My old man used to say all the time, he used to say, success is when opportunity meets preparation. So we have been prepared. We've been building. We have massive infrastructure, as you guys can tell. We haven't even gotten into any of the AI driven hub tech and hub platforms that we use to help patients, kind of seamlessly transition or get on a better, cheaper medication for them. And you can see the infrastructure that we've built. So we are ready, and the opportunity is now. You are correct. I mean, this is the number one thing that most Americans are talking about right now. You have employer groups on average see somewhere between a 10 to 15% increase on insurance spend every year for the last 5 years, and it's all around medications. It's all around the drugs. It's not around the doctors. It's not around the surgeries. It's all around the drugs. So there's a massive need and massive desire to have better alternative distribution. And really quick, this is our safe. I'm obviously not going to open it, but this is our safe that our scheduled drugs are kept in. So you can see it's pretty decent. It's probably about 2,000 square foot safe that we store stuff in. But I mean, all of this is SOP based. So to be NABP certified, we do rigorous SOPs. Like there's no one that can get in here that isn't dual authenticated and reports run and T3 reports created and everything else. So it's a very manual process that we've been able to streamline.
Okay. One thing you mentioned, you said something, what do you call NBC? What was the term you used? In other words, you said
NDC, sorry about that. Yeah, in the pharmaceutical space, the NDC is referred to as a SKU. It's a product, right? So when you say it's a national drug code is what the abbreviation is. And what that means is if I'm selling a clobetasol cream or a clozetanol cream, any one of those has to come with a specific number that identifies who the manufacturer is and what the drug is. So it's just a SKU, but for pharma.
Okay, so the path. Okay, let's go through this again because I think this is the exciting part. So how will, or I should say, how can Wellgistics go from the 40 million annualized revenues right now to that 250 million run rate? Like, what's the path? What's the what needs to happen? Walk us through is it one deal? Like, what are the possible? Like, are there multiple paths to get there? Like, what has to happen?
100%. This is what's very interesting about the pharmaceutical space, right? So you have what's called the primary space, which is going to be like the big boys, right? They're your big manufacturers, your big brands, and your big distributors, right? Those are your primary providers. The secondary space, a lot of brands have trouble working with. Just because they're smaller companies, they get nervous, they get skittish, they get worried. So when we went public and IPO'd this year, there was a massive wave of manufacturers that we had been trying to work with historically that just weren't interested in us because we were, too small or they had concerns about scaling or other things. But since we've gone public, we've had this huge wave of manufacturers come in and say, okay, I'd love to work with you. I'm desperate for alternative distribution. And you guys are obviously a credible company. You're publicly traded. You are fully certified in all the states required. Like you're doing everything the way that you should. So it's one of those deals, and we have multiple of those deals happening right now. Any one of them could put us on that path.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the exciting part about the stock is that, it's we always say what we want to see in one of our, next super stocks is, a situation where you have multiple catalysts, multiple potential catalysts that could,
Yeah,
make that difference, which would
100%.
be that game changing event. I mean, you're basically just one signature away from one of these, game changers
We
for the company and the stock, basically.
we are prepared and we are ready, and the opportunity is here. That is correct.
No. Okay, I want to ask you, Tony. So let's talk about your background. How did you
Yeah,
What's your background? How did you get involved with Wellgistics? Like, what do you do all day as chief operating officer? Like, tell
of
us the
course.
details there.
Yeah, give you a little bit of background on myself. So I'm a fifth generation entrepreneur. Family models, you can have anything as long as it's
Five,
advice, right? Yep, fifth
55
generation.
What is that? 200
Yep.
years? That goes back to what? Benjamin Franklin? I mean,
not that far, but 1920s.
okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's been a phenomenal ride. I grew up as a kid. Whenever my dad would buy or sell a business, he'd throw a P&L and a balance sheet on a table and he'd say, "Tell me what's wrong with it." Right. So that started at the age of 12 for me. I specifically have a background in technology companies and healthcare companies. So this will be my 8th company that I've worked at that is tech based. I've done cybersecurity, I've done fintech, I've done electronic medical record companies, I've done electronic medical ERP companies. Like I've kind of dabbled in a lot of the space, and frankly, the thing that I'm the guy that you typically bring in when you're double the budget and 3 times longer than you should be. The thing that I've absolutely loved about Wellgistics, and this is very important for a tech company, we have never missed a timeline and we are always on budget, which I've frankly in my entire career only seen a handful of times. We have a phenomenal CTO that I work with every day, has a great background in healthcare, but really when I came on to Wellgistics, Brian purchased the company in 2017. I came on in 2020 as a minority shareholder. I bought into the company in 2020. I've been working with Brian now for about 8 years. And when I came on, I was helping with compliance and distribution. And then when the company went public and Brian took the role of CEO, he was like, "Hey, I'd love for you to come take a swing at this with me. I know that this is the company that bought previous Wellgistics LLC, right?" So we got bought out, and then Brian was like, "Hey, I'm going to go run it. I'd love for you to come do it with me." And I've had an absolute blast doing it. I genuinely think that it is so uniquely positioned that you just don't run across this stuff every day. So that's a really quick and dirty about how I interacted with the company, like how I got into Wellgistics and the pharma space. But really my main focus is every day, because we are a tech company. Like we have manual and physical things that we do every day, right? We have this huge warehouse, we have a pharmacy, we have all of these interactions that are physical and happen every day. But really the efficiencies and the growth that we're able to capture is because of the technology that we've built. So we have 3 different AI platforms right now that do anything and everything with hub services. And what hub services are is it's the pathway to help a patient either stay on a drug, change to a new drug, get on a better treatment, all of those things that the PBMs don't want happening right now. So our hub service AI division is wildly expansive. It's been phenomenal to build it, to be a part of it. We are no longer in early stage development. We are to commercialization. It is fully operable and ready to go. So with Wellgistics, I always struggle with tech. Tech's always never done, right? Like it always needs improvement. You can always work on it, but you have to get to market at some point. So for me, this has been a phenomenal opportunity because we got to market quicker than expected. It's really exciting to be a part of it, and it's a substantial offering to the space. So,
Okay, so Tony, so your background is in tech, really, right? So
correct,
in
100%.
terms of so how what is the I think from what we understand is when Brian was on it, he explained he's basically building a next generation, next gen pharma distribution company. So basically
Correct.
a disruptor. Essentially, you're a disruptor in this $600 billion space. So what?
Correct.
So how? like how important is like technology, and what you mentioned that you have 3 different AI platforms that you're using. Like, what is
Yes.
like how like are you basically a technology company that's masquerading as a pharma distribution company? Like, are you really what is
the
what
best
is
way
how
I can describe it is that we are an ecosystem because it requires both, right? It requires, like, I have a heart, I have lungs, I have blood. Like, we're an entire enclosed circle, right? So I
okay.
couldn't offer the manufacturers and the pharmacies and the patients the offering that I am right now, which is everyone makes more money and patients pay less. I couldn't do that if I didn't have a distributor, if I didn't have a pharmacy, and if I didn't have technology behind me. I just couldn't do it. And frankly, that's why Wellgistics is so uniquely positioned, is because it is so hard to get all of it done. I mean, dude, it takes anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to get full certification just to be a wholesale distributor. I mean, for context, as the COO, I get my fingerprints done for, State Board of Pharmacies and other things, multiple times a year. It's not like you go into a place and they give you a license and you go, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, we have
Right.
audits all the time. We have regulatory bodies we deal with all the time. We interact with folks. Like, it's not a simple set it and forget it type of thing. So yes, when you talk about what we are a next gen alternative distribution company, but it is yes, we're a tech company that has attributes of a distribution company and a pharmacy, 100%. Like, and again, even our pharmacy, the only reason we do that is because there are some manufacturers that we work with that the patients want to go through our pharmacy, and there's other patients that want to work with their local independent pharmacy, which is why we're integrated and have onboarded 6,500 pharmacies. So for context, that's not quite 25% of the market, but it's pretty close.
Okay, so you have 6,500. These are customers. These 6,500
Independent
pharmacies.
pharmacies. Yep. And
Okay.
for context, to buy product from Wellgistics as a pharmacy, I have to get 3 to 4 different types of licensure. I have to run Know Your Client. I have to interact. Like, this isn't like, hey, log in and give me your email. Like, I have to run
Okay.
verifications. I have to do authentications. I have to make sure the address is real. Like, it is a very arduous process to onboard a pharmacy, and we have 6,500 of them.
Okay. That's interesting. So when you say that, basically, so there's there's a moat in this business. It's not just somebody says, hey, I'm gonna distribute farm. It's basically there's logistics, infrastructure. There's a lot. There's a lot involved in this space.
100%.
To do this. Okay. Really interesting. Okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You're saying?
Oh no, you're good.
Okay. So yeah. So it seems like the company's right now in a very exciting spot. Again, the thing that everybody's waiting for. Again, there's thousands of investors who are watching the stock now. Again, they see that the company is at that inflection point, and what they're waiting for is one or more of these big deals, which is going to be the game changer. So, what can we expect? Like, what kind of news flow can we? I always ask this question. I always from Brian or whoever we have, but like, what can we expect over the next? Let's call it 4 to 6 weeks. Like, what should investors be looking for? Like, what's next for the company? Again, we're only saying 4 to 6 because everybody here is a lot of retail investors are short term oriented.
Correct.
Let's say 4 to 6 weeks. That's what can we look for?
I think that there's, we got a lot of exciting stuff. As everyone's aware, we just got back from a lot of conferences. The conferences went very well for us. We had a lot of traction. We have a lot of people that are very interested in us in our alternative distribution. We have groups that literally, one of the quotes I got yesterday was, "This is the most innovative thing I've seen in the last 10 years in healthcare." And it's like, yeah.
Oh, really?
My personal opinion, I agree with that statement, 100%. I haven't seen anything even close to this. So we are getting very much traction with the events that we've been going to. People are really excited about it. And just like the next 4 to 6 weeks is like every other 4 to 6 weeks. We always have a couple of very interesting things happen, and we always have, forward moving motion. So we have a lot going on, but it's always, I tell people all the time, look, you have to run a ground game that's short term and a long term, right? So I'm very much the short term ground game. I'm in charge of making sure that we execute and we close everything in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Anything that's past that goes past me to Brian. He's whale fishing on the back of the boat, and I'm net fishing on the front. So we always, it's a great question, and it's one that we get asked often. It's, you know, what do you guys have going on and what's in the pipe? And it's a lot, always. There's always stuff going on. So
Right. Oh yeah, just for context, so we actually we, you know, for the audience. So we met yesterday. We were at the NEBA conference, the National Investment Banking Association conference in Fort Lauderdale. I'm still there. So yesterday we did a video with Brian on the floor. And by the way, so it was pretty impressive. So there was about 400 plus people in the room, and then there was breakout meetings afterwards. Most of like the regional brokerage firms in the U.S. in the small cap space, all the key players are pretty much there. So I'm curious, like I know you guys had like a bunch of meetings back to back yesterday. What were like the top? I'm curious, like what were the top questions that investors were asking you?
The main thing that we get asked all the time is, it's like, frankly, I can spend 5 hours explaining what we do because it's so complex. Like, people get the general idea of it, right? Like, hey, you take it thing here and you put it there, right? But the number one question was like, can you give me an example of a process that you would run, right? And so that was the number one question. Like, kind of break this down in a process that I can understand, that is like, okay, I get you work with manufacturers, you take drugs to patients, but how does that work, right? So the example that I gave them is you know, we've been in talks with multiple manufacturers, and this is just an example of what it could look like, right? So there's a drug that we're looking at right now that typical monthly payment on it's about $700 a month. That's what patients are paying, is $700 a month for this drug. Manufacturer, when he looked at traditional distribution, right, with the PBMs and the wholesalers, he was going to make roughly $20 a drug every time it got dispensed. So the $700 that an end user was paying, the manufacturer was going to make $20. So instead of going that way, we said, wait, why don't you go through us and let's look at it. So when they looked at it, we can have an end user pay $70 for a $700 drug, and that manufacturer will make more money by using us than by selling it for $700 the traditional way.
How does that work? How does it pop? You're basically doing a 90% cost savings for the customer.
Yeah,
and the
correct.
manufacturer's making more money. How does that happen?
Correct.
Explain.
Well, it's the middlemen. It's everyone in between. It's the insurance, the PBMs, the wholesalers. They all take a very large pound of flesh on the way over. So you wouldn't believe how much. And everyone thinks, this is what's funny to me, is the second question I got is, you know, with this with all the legislation that's going on right now, how are manufacturers adjusting? And the answer is that they're trying to as best they can, but they're limited. There's not a lot of distribution paths that currently exist. And so that's why we're so uniquely positioned, is because with the tailwinds that are happening right now in the market, everyone is looking for an us, and we're already ready. So that's an example of you know, how a Wellgistics is different than your traditional distribution. And the manufacturer sat there, and when we ran through it, he was like, "This is insane. This is awesome. Like this, how is this? How is everyone not doing this?" And I said, you know, hypothetically, my old man used to say all the time, "Look, pigs eat and hogs get slaughtered," and there are a lot of hogs in healthcare. There are a lot of folks that are just taking way too much money, and people are upset about it. Manufacturers are upset about it. Wholesalers are upset about it. Pharmacies are upset about it. Patients are upset about it. I mean, the average American cannot afford $700 a month in prescription drugs. They can't.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah.
I mean, you literally have people that are having to pay $700 a month or end up in the ER in 6 weeks. I mean, these aren't, when everyone thinks about pharmaceutical drugs, most people that we interact with, it's funny because they think about like, oh, you're talking about stuff for like migraines, and you're talking about stuff for like, ulcers in your stomach and all this other stuff. It's like, no, we're also talking about like people that are bipolar, people that are on antipsychotics, like people that need medication. These aren't people that can kind of need medication. These are people that need to be on medication that don't have access to it due to pricing. That's insane. That is not a reason that a person should not be on a medication that their doctor prescribes. One third of Americans go into a pharmacy to buy a drug that their doctor has prescribed for them, and a third of them walk out without the drug because it's too expensive. Think about that. A third. That's wild. That's a lot of people leaving without medications they should be on.
Yeah, no, this is big. So I mean, this essentially, this is Wellgistics could be like a game changer in the U.S. health space. I mean, in many ways. I mean, this is
I absolutely
in addition
believe
to potentially saving thousands of lives, because you're giving people medicine that otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford. I mean, that makes a big difference.
It's this is what's insane is that everyone benefits in the process minus the middlemen. That's it. It's crazy to see. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are like, I'm on a $1,500 a month med. Can you help? It's like that's a lot of money for the average American. $1,500 is not small every month. So
okay, and you can reduce that by, you gave an example of 90%. Is it going to be 90% for everything, or it's going to be like what's going to be the average?
No, that's frankly we're testing right now and we're seeing. But I mean that's a great example. I mean that was what the manufacturer can make money. That's where the patient saves money, the most amount of money. And frankly, every drug that we do this process with, we will try to maximize that saving to the patient, because it's got to change. It can't keep doing what it's been doing. Patients are spending way too much money on medication. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it's so. Yeah, no. So Wellgistics is in the, it's the company. It's positioned, in the right place at the right time, and we've seen that some of the biggest winners in the market have been these stocks, which were just, again, right place, right time. It's interesting. You mentioned, we were at the NEBA conference yesterday, right? One of the bankers that he gave an example of Axon, which was formerly known as Taser. He was talking about that company, and they took, I think it was Paulson company, took them public. And it was a company that we worked with like 25 years, in 2002, whatever it was. Stock was $1. It ended up going, I think it's like $1,600 when you count the splits. It was, so people, every $1,000 would now be worth over $1 million in that stock. They make the Tasers and all that. But they were, and he was giving that as an example of one of the companies that came out of there, one of the winning companies. And that was the company that was in the right place at the right time, because that technology exists. But they just happened to, like, everything lined up. Was like right after 9/11. You had the Homeland Security thing. They all some trends, and the execution, a couple of other things, and it went from being, it could have been nothing, and then turned into this multi-billion-dollar company. And Wellgistics is kind of in that same kind of position for that same type of trajectory. So you have, so it's interesting. So you could be the next 1,000-bagger success story coming out of that conference now.
Well, I always appreciate people believing in us, and frankly, we work like that. So I mean, I've been at Wellgistics as the COO since March of this year, and my average work week, I'm pushing between 70 and 80 hours a week. We work like mules here, every single one of us, and frankly, every employee here has pulled at least a 50 to 60 hour work week like this. We only work with the best, because that's what we are. We are the best. Like, our company culture says it, who we are says it, where we're going says it. We are not, I work with a lot of C-suites that, are a 9 to 5 group. That's not who we are. I'm up every day at 7. I finish every day between 9 and midnight. And I have done that my entire life. I don't know anything else to do. I don't know how to function differently. I know a lot of people go to work 9 to 5, and that's okay. I can't function that way. I work all day, every day. I love it. I love being a part of the process. But the ground game is what brings long-term success. And we run a absolutely dominating ground game. I've never worked with a group as good as Wellgistics.
Fantastic. Okay, Tony, it was great having you on, and we look forward to hearing more from Wellgistics in the coming weeks, in the coming days.
Yeah, for sure. The pharmacy's getting set up, but when it gets set up all the way, let's have another one of these. I can show everyone around.
Fantastic. Thank you again.
All right, we'll see you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next live stream.